started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's OVW Fiscal Year 2024 Justice for Families Pre-Application webinar. Before we get started, I'd like to go over how to participate in today's event. All lines have been muted at this time. Participants may view captioning in English by clicking the caption button at the bottom of your screen or under the More button. Next, click Show Subtitles to view captions at the bottom of your screen. For security purposes, we ask that you add your first and last name to the device or your phone. If you need to adjust your name, please follow the instructions posted in the chat. Those instructions will be posted momentarily. You are also welcome to add your pronouns to your display name. To use the features needed for today's event, please hover over the bottom center of your screen. You will see a series of icon buttons. Two of the buttons include the Start and Stop View button. This gives you the option to share your webcam. Please do not feel obligated to turn on your camera. Additionally, during the designated Q&A sessions, you will be instructed to raise your hand and/or comment in the question box. Please use the raise hand button. That button is located in the right bottom side of your screen under the More button. Finally, the recording and transcripts for this session will be available to participants. We are going to email you the recording and transcript, and the webinar can be found on the OVW website. At this time, I would like to introduce the OVW team. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aisha. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you again for joining us for the fiscal year 2024 the fiscal year 2024 Justice for Families Pre-Application Information Session. This information session is for the fiscal year 2024 solicitation that was posted on December 8th. My name is Hannah Puffer, and I'm a grant management specialist for the Justice for Families program. And my colleague from the JFF team will also be leading this webinar, Maureen, or also goes by Mo Monagle, who is also a grant management specialist. And again, if you have any questions regarding using Zoom or any technical logistics, please feel free to put a question in the chat. Mo or Julie, if someone can put a link to the solicitation in the chat so that you can follow along, that would be great. The FY24 Justice for Families solicitation was posted on December 8th. Application submissions are due by 8:59 p.m. Eastern Time on February 1st, 2024, and will be submitted through a two-step application process. Applicants will submit the SF424 and SF-LLL in grants.gov by January 30th, 2024, and submit a full application in the Just Grant system by February 1st, 2024. We'll be providing more information on that process later in the presentation. We recommend everyone thoroughly read the solicitation before applying. At the end of the presentation, we will open it up to questions. However, please enter questions in the Q&A box as they come up. And I've just been informed that we cannot put the link to the solicitation in the chat. We apologize for that. However, if you go to OVW's website under the tab for open solicitations, you should be able to find it there. You can also, if you Google OVW open solicitations, you can find it fairly easily as well. The Justice for Families program was first authorized in the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act of 2013. The program supports activities to improve the capacity of communities and courts to respond to families impacted by domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, and in some cases, child sexual abuse with court-based and court-related programs, supervised visitation and safe exchange by and between parents, training and technical assistance for people who work with families in the court system, and civil legal services. The Justice for Families program has 8 statutory purpose areas. However, the FY 2024 solicitation will only address 5 of these purpose areas. Applicants may address the following purpose areas: 1, supervised visitation and safe exchange; 3, training for court-based and court-related personnel; 5, court and court-based programs and services; 6, civil legal services; and 8, training within the civil justice system. You may have noticed that purpose areas 2, 4, and 7 are not listed in the solicitation. OVW addresses these 3 purpose areas through technical assistance grants, cooperative agreements, and other special projects. Applicants proposing 1, a new supervised visitation and safe exchange program, or 2, who have never received funds from OVW for supervised visitation and safe exchange for families with a history of domestic violence, must include a planning period for up to 12 months. If funded, these applicants may be eligible to receive an additional 24 months of non-competitive funding. OVW is interested in funding projects that take a coordinated approach to helping families victimized by domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking as they navigate the justice system. To help achieve this coordinated approach, applicants may propose either a standard project or a comprehensive project. Under a standard project, applicants must propose activities under Purpose Area 1, supervised visitation, or Purpose Area 5, courts and court-based programs. If an applicant is proposing to provide supervised visitation and safe exchange services, or Purpose Area 1, the applicant must propose activities under at least 1 additional purpose area. The courts and court-based programs Purpose Area 5, can be addressed on its own or in combination with another purpose area. You may apply to any or all of the subparts of this purpose area. However, OVW will not consider applications that only propose pro se victim assistance under Purpose Area 5B, or only propose education and outreach programs under Purpose Area 5E. Additionally, Purpose Areas 3 or 8 cannot be solely combined with Purpose Area 5E, but may be combined if other purpose areas or subparts of Purpose Area 5 are also applied for. Projects that only propose training and education will not be considered. Due to the restrictions on providing civil legal services, which is that no more than 50% of the proposed project can support civil legal services, a project cannot propose activities solely from Purpose Area 6 and Purpose Area 5B pro se assistance. Under a comprehensive project, applicants must propose activities under Purpose Area 1, supervised visitation, Purpose Area 5, courts and court-based programs, and Purpose Area 6, civil legal services. Applicants may include additional purpose areas in the comprehensive project application if they choose, but are required to only include Purpose Areas 1, 5, and 6. Projects addressing pro se victim assistance programs or under Purpose Area 5B and civil legal assistance under Purpose Area 6 must count all associated costs toward the 50% cap on civil legal assistance described under Purpose Area 6 in the solicitation. Applicants will need to state the percentage of the civil legal assistance and pro se victim assistance activities and budget items in question 17B of the summary data sheet. A project in which the primary focus is on providing civil legal assistance is not appropriate for the Justice for Families program and will be removed from consideration. Applicants seeking to implement a civil legal assistance program may want to consider OVW's FY 2024 Legal Assistance for Victims Program or the Expanding Legal Services Initiative. And those solicitations can also be found under open solicitations on OVW's website. You can visit OVW's website for more information about these programs and also for the FY 2024 solicitation release programs for these programs and others. OVW has identified 4 priority areas the office will be addressing during FY 2024. The Justice for Families program will be addressing 3 out of these 4 priority areas. As stated in the solicitation, applications are not required to address a priority area, but those proposing activities which address a priority area will be given special consideration. The 3 priority areas the JFF program will be addressing include Priority Area 1, Advance Equity and Tribal Sovereignty as an essential component of ending sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking. Applicants addressing this priority area must meaningfully address Purpose Area 5A by developing or enhancing specialized courts, consolidating courts, or dockets for tribal courts. An example of addressing this priority area includes a tribal community applying to implement a civil and/or criminal domestic violence court docket. JFF funds may support line items such as the DV docket coordinator position for the court, advocates to support victims in court, and the creation of specialized training for tribal judges and court personnel. Projects addressing OVW's Priority Area 1 should respond with a yes to item number 8 in the summary data sheet if the application proposes to address advancing equity and tribal sovereignty as an essential component of ending sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking. Applicants addressing Priority Area 1 will be providing information on how their projects will be addressing this priority area in different sections of the project narrative. Describe the challenges and the needs of the identified tribal community and how the project will meet the need or needs in the purpose of the proposal. You will further describe the approach to addressing the needs and challenges in the what will be done section. Additionally, in the who will implement section, proposal should describe the key personnel involved in the project, including tribal court staff, judges, victim service providers, and other tribal leaders. Finally, if addressing this priority area, the Indian tribal government may submit letters of commitment from each partnering agency if the tribal government is unable to sign a memorandum of understanding at the time of application. The second OVW priority area the JFF program can address is Priority Area 2, which is increased access to justice for all survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking, including through exploration of survivor-centered criminal justice system reform. As stated on page 9 of the solicitation under the Justice for Families program, to be considered under this priority area, applicants must address Purpose Area 5 by developing domestic violence specialized courts, consolidated courts, dockets, or intake centers. Applicants should demonstrate meaningful coordination and collaboration with system and community partners, such as prosecutors, defense attorneys, civil legal services, advocates, and a resource coordinator in the project narrative and signed memorandum of understanding. Examples of addressing this priority area may include a court partnering with a victim service provider to develop and staff an intake center to support survivors with filing petitions in court. Additionally, another example may include a court partnership with an abusive partner intervention program, as JFF funds may support activities for offender accountability programs. Projects addressing OVW's Priority Area 2 should respond with a yes to item number 9 in the summary data sheet if the application proposes to address increased access to justice for all survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking, including through exploration of survivor-centered criminal justice system reform. In the project narrative, applicants should describe the needs related to systemic coordination between courts and community partners. In the What Will Be Done section, you should further describe how an improved coordinated system will address the needs and gaps of survivors navigating the justice system. Additionally, applicants should describe the expertise of system and community partners, such as prosecutors, defense attorneys, civil legal services, advocates, or a resource coordinator that will implement the coordinated system and community approach. Projects proposing to address Priority Area 3 should include project activities that address the barriers in accessing community services due to a lack of transportation and childcare. Applicants addressing this priority area should include costs in their budget for items such as transportation for supervised visitation and safe exchange, transportation for court hearings, and childcare in court settings for domestic violence or sexual assault cases. An example of addressing this priority area may include funding and establishing a child care in the court for victims to use while participating in court hearings. Projects addressing OVW's Priority Area 3 should respond with a yes to item number 10 in the summary data sheet if seeking to expand economic justice and financial advocacy for survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking. In your program narrative, applicants should describe the barriers to accessing community services due to a lack of transportation and childcare. Describe how the proposed project will address the challenges or needs related to transportation and/or childcare. And finally, describe the applicants or identified partners' expertise to provide transportation or childcare services. In your budget and budget narrative, include costs related to transportation for supervised visitation and safe exchange, transportation for court hearings, or childcare in court settings for domestic violence or sexual assault cases. While not required, all applicants are strongly encouraged to address one or more of the OVW priority areas we just reviewed. Applications proposing activities in any of those areas advance equity and tribal sovereignty, increase access to justice, and/or economic justice and financial advocacy will be given special consideration. The solicitation lists specific activities that are outside the scope of the Justice for Families program and will not be supported by the program's funding. The list of out-of-scope activities can be found on page 10 of the solicitation. Applications that propose activities that are deemed to be substantially out of scope may receive a deduction in points during the review process or may be eliminated from consideration entirely. Before Mo begins reviewing eligibility, budgets, and other requirements, are there any program-specific questions at this time? I'm going to go to the Q&A. Okay, so we have a question. Are we allowed to apply if we currently have a Justice for Families grant? Our current award ends in September 2025. And actually, it looks like Julie is responding to that question. So I'm going to let her do that. Okay. And the next question, where would civil legal advocacy, again, by a nonprofit victim advocacy agency, be counted in that budget? Would funds for a civil legal advocacy be counted towards a 50% maximum on pro se civil legal assistance and legal services? That is a great question. And yes, and it looks like Julie is responding to that question as well. Okay. And John Rowley asked, can we apply for supervised visitation without an exchange component? That is also a wonderful question. And thank you, Julie is getting to all the Q&A. So thank you, Julie, for that. She's typing an answer. Any other program-specific questions at this time? Okay, and Leslie says, to clarify, for comprehensive project, we need to do purpose areas 1, 5, and 6. Yes, so for a comprehensive project, it needs to be purpose areas 1, supervised visitation, 5, court-based programs, and 6, civil legal services. If you are interested in doing a standard project, it could be 5 and 6 without purpose area 1. Okay, and a few more questions. Our supervised visitation and exchange program is under our domestic violence program. Do we still need an MOU? Okay, actually, since we are getting several program-specific questions, and I know I want to be mindful of time, I'm going to go ahead and have Julie and I respond to the Q&As in the chat, and I'm going to have Mo go ahead with some of the next slides, just so that we can make sure that we capture all the information that you all need.
Thanks, Hannah. So the grant award period is 36 months. Budgets must reflect 36 months of project activity, and the total estimated funding on the submitted SF 424 must reflect 36 months. We anticipate the award period will start on October 1st, 2024. And as you're working on your budgets and applying, please remember standard projects as stated in the solicitation. Standard projects are up to $600,000 for the entire 36 months, and comprehensive programs are up to $700,000 for the entire 36 months. Hannah, next slide. Thanks. New applicants are considered those that have never received direct funding under the Justice for Families program, or whose previous Justice for Families funding expired on or before January 30th, 2024. Continuation applicants are those that have an existing award or an award that will close after January 30th, 2024. Continuation funding is not guaranteed. Please note that grant recipients that receive funding as a lead applicant under the Justice for Families program for 36 months in FY22 or FY 2023 are not eligible to apply. Current grantees with a substantial amount of unobligated funds remaining, so that for us would be 50% or more of your previous award as of March 31st, 2024, without adequate justification, may not be considered for funding, or may receive a reduced award amount if selected for funding in 2024. Please check with your current grant specialist or grant manager if you have questions about remaining funds and your eligibility. Eligible applicants are limited to states, units of local government, courts, including juvenile courts, Indian tribal governments, nonprofit organizations, legal service providers, and victim service providers. Please note that a law enforcement agency is not considered a unit of local government. It does not include police departments, sheriff's departments, probation, and parole. Also, prosecutors' offices are not considered courts and therefore cannot serve as the court partner or apply on behalf of a court. All applicants for the Justice for Families program are required to submit a certification of eligibility. Applicants proposing projects under purpose areas 1, 5, or 6 will be required to submit additional certification letters. Please read the other program eligibility requirements section in the solicitation very carefully to determine which letters may be required for an application. This information may be found on page 14 of the solicitation. Certification letters must be uploaded as separate attachments in Just Grants. Please note that in Just Grants, each certification has its own labeled place to be uploaded and should not be uploaded under the header labeled General. Contact the Justice for Families program at ovw.jff@usdoj.gov if you have questions about certification letters. Sample certification letters may be found on the OVW website under the Resources for Applicants page. All applicants for the Justice for Families program must include formal partnerships with both a nonprofit, non-governmental, or tribal domestic violence or sexual assault victim service provider and a court. Applications that do not meet this requirement will not be eligible for Justice for Families program funding and will be removed from consideration. Partnerships are formally demonstrated through a memorandum of understanding or an MOU, and in some cases, a letter of commitment. More information about required partnerships can be found on page 16 of the solicitation. Please note that a governmental victim service agency does not qualify as a victim service provider under the definition. Additionally, if your organization primarily provides supervised visitation services for families with a history of domestic violence, you may qualify for a victim service provider. If a court partner must be the court and signed by the court authorized representative, such as the court administrator or presiding or chief judge. A police captain, sheriff, or police officer, or the attorney general does not qualify as a representative of the court. And as a reminder, as stated in the solicitation, an Indian tribal government may submit signed letters of commitment from each partnering agency if the tribal government is unable to submit a memorandum of understanding at the time of application. Here are some partnership scenarios to help determine what partnerships are required. Excuse me. If a court is the lead applicant, it must have a domestic violence and/or sexual assault victim service provider as a project partner. If a domestic violence and/or sexual assault victim service provider is the lead applicant, it must have the court as a partner. If the lead applicant is neither a domestic violence or sexual assault victim service provider or a court, it must have partnership with both a domestic violence and/or sexual assault victim service provider and a court. Applications that do not meet this requirement will not be eligible for Justice for Families program funding and will be removed from consideration. As noted, please review the eligible applicant section carefully for the definitions of court and victim service provider. As stated previously, please note that a prosecutor's office is not considered a court. Victim service providers must also be a nonprofit, non-governmental, or tribal organization or a rape crisis center. This does not include governmental victim service provider located within a government agency, police department, or prosecutor's office. Victim service providers must have a documented history of effective work concerning domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking. Provide direct service to victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking as one of their primary purposes, and have a demonstrated history of effective work in the field. Please note, there are a few differences between standard and comprehensive projects. Standard projects have a 20-page limit for their proposal narrative, while comprehensive projects have a 25-page limit. Additionally, budgets must include funds to attend OVW-sponsored training and technical assistance in the amount of $15,000 for standard projects and $20,000 for comprehensive projects. Please refer to the solicitation in the, and you will upload all of your information as a proposal narrative as an attachment in Just Grants. All right, go ahead, Hannah. The following items are critical components that must be completed and submitted in Just Grants. Each applicant must respond to the 11 questions of the pre-award risk assessment by completing this in Just Grants. The questions can be found on page 51 of the solicitation. Additionally, applicants are required to complete the applicant questionnaire in Just Grants. Those questions can also be found in the solicitation on page 54. Applicants should provide the most accurate answers to all questions listed. Finally, the summary data sheet is also required to be submitted in Just Grants. We like to specifically bring your attention to question number 7, which requests applicants to identify the percentage of grant activities that will address domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, and child abuse. The proposal abstract will be entered in a text box in Just Grants, but still should be no more than 2 pages double-spaced. Applicants are strongly encouraged, but not required, to use the template provided in the solicitation for the abstract. This template can be found on page 19 of the solicitation. In the proposal narrative, this includes several questions and all should be responded to unless clearly marked if applicable. Applicants will upload the proposal narrative as an attachment in Just Grants. Applicants should also include a header and the response to the questions asked in each section listed in the solicitation. The What Will Be Done section includes questions for all applicants, and there are additional questions for each purpose area you are applying to. Please read the specifics of this section, which can be found on page 19 of the solicitation. The budget worksheet and budget narrative will be submitted as attachments in Just Grants. A few things to consider when developing your budgets. Unless otherwise stated in your MOU or in the letter of commitment, are all of your project partners compensated? Another question to ask is, has your project adequately included the adequate funds to address accessibility? We'd also like to note, and this is stated in the solicitation, you must include at least the minimum amounts of funds stated in the solicitation to support those with disabilities, funds addressing access to support individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing, and funds to support language access for interpretation or translation services. If you are not requesting funds for accessibility, we recommend you include a statement in the budget of the other resources you have available to ensure meaningful access for persons with disabilities, those who are deaf and hard of hearing, or who are limited in English proficiency. your memorandum of understanding, and your letters of commitment. Applicants are generally required to submit an MOU, a document containing the terms of the partnership and the roles and responsibilities between two or more parties. We recognize that courts are often precluded from signing on to an MOU. They may submit a letter of commitment in lieu of an MOU. Tribal government may submit a signed letter of commitment from each partnering agency if they are unable to submit a signed MOU at the time of application. If selected for funding, the tribal government will be required to submit an MOU signed by all project partners as a deliverable post-award in-just grants. Please note, the letters of commitment submitted in an MOU under circumstances other than those described in the solicitation will not be accepted. Here's a few scenarios for the MOU. If the court is the lead applicant and unable to sign an MOU, all project partners should submit an LOC and no MOU is required. If the court is a project partner and unable to sign an MOU, the lead applicant should still submit an MOU signed by the applicant and any other non-court partners, and the court partner can submit a letter of commitment. If the nonprofit, non-governmental, or tribal domestic violence and/or sexual assault victim service provider is the lead applicant, and the only other project partner is the court should submit an LOU, but the lead applicant is not required to submit an MOU or an LOC. The solicitation provides detailed guidance on what an MOU and/or a letter of commitment should contain, including the formal partnerships with both nonprofit, non-governmental, or tribal domestic violence and sexual assault victim service provider and the court. You will find guidance on what the MOU must contain on page 27 of the solicitation. You can also contact the Justice for Families program at ovw.jff@usdoj.gov if you have questions about MOUs or letters of commitment. OVW's Grant Financial Management Division, or GFMD, is involved in reviewing the applications. GFMD reviews the following information required of all applications. In the pre-award risk assessment, which is submitted directly in Just Grants, there are 11 questions with multiple parts to each question. Most common issues we'd like to help you avoid are or information that is not provided in the risk assessment show up when there's a brief list of the policies and procedures are not provided, the budgeted versus actual process is not provided, the applicant's record retention policy is not provided, or an individual primarily responsible for the fiscal and administrative regulation and oversight lack knowledge and the rules and understandings. The applicant questionnaire, which can be found on page 55 of the solicitation, is also submitted online via Just Grants and asks applicants to provide basic information about the organization applying for funding. The summary data sheet requests information related to the applicant's single audit, the threshold under the fiscal year. Item number 6 requests a statement related to the IRS 3-step safe harbor procedure and disclosure process related to executive compensation. Applicants must upload the required documents as budget, financial attachments in Just Grants. There is a sample disclosure letter available for you. Please review all questions for the pre-award risk assessment, the applicant questionnaire, and the summary data sheet to ensure you have provided the requested information. GFMD has worked to develop a detailed webinar presentation on how to assist applicants in developing a budget to be submitted with their OVW applications. They want to help reduce any challenges you may have or face with the budget and make it clear what they look for when they review your budget. This webinar provides some insight as to what OVW financial staff considers during their review. The webinar can be found in the OVW website under the Budget Information section of the OVW Resources for Applicants page. They also provide information on what can be found for the 2 CFR Part 200, 2 CFR 200. And then another resource we ask you to consider is the DOJ Financial Guide. This was updated in 2023, and as well as program-specific information in the solicitation. We know this can be a lot of information to process, so if you have questions about the GFMD information discussed, please feel free to contact the GFMD help desk. The number and the email is provided there. The number is 1-888-514-8556. And the email is ovw.gfmd@usdoj.gov. When you're ready to apply, applicants may find this funding opportunity on grants.gov by using the assistance listing number, which is 16.021. You can search for the grants.gov opportunity number or the title of the solicitation, all of which can be found on the cover page. The FY 2024 application submission process is a two-step process. Application materials will be submitted in grants.gov and JustGrants. We recommend starting the application process, even if it's just the registration process for grants.gov and JustGrants as soon as possible, especially if you are unfamiliar and learning the JustGrants system. Please read the solicitation carefully to understand all steps required to submit an application and the time to complete those steps. Some steps, such as obtaining a unique entity identifier, or the UEI number, or registering for the System for Award Management or grants.gov, may take several days to complete. We recommend applicants begin this process as soon as possible, but no later than the date suggested in the solicitation. All applicants must complete the application for federal assistance for the SF 424 in grants.gov. The specific information required for this step is included in the information to complete the application for federal assistance section of the solicitation. This information can be found on page 18 of the solicitation. Applicants must also complete and submit the disclosure of lobbying activities in grants.gov. After submitting these forms, the applicant will receive an email notification from JustGrants to complete the rest of the application in JustGrants. If the applicant is a new user to JustGrants, the email will include instructions on registering with JustGrants. Applicants will submit the full application, including attachments and JustGrants. Applicants will enter some application information directly into text boxes in the system, fill out web-based forms, and upload documents as attachments. We've included the following major elements of application examples of what the applicants will submit in Just Grants. They include the proposal abstract, which will be entered in as a text box. The summary data sheet will be completed in Just Grants. The applicant questionnaire will also be completed in Just Grants. The proposal narrative will be uploaded as an attachment. The budget worksheet and budget narrative will be uploaded as attachments. The memorandum of understanding and/or the letters of commitment will be uploaded as attachments. Please read the solicitation carefully for other documentations required or when applicable. In addition to the major elements that I've just listed, other documents will be required, such as the certifications, to be uploaded. And the application checklist can be found on page 36 of the solicitation. In Just Grants, each applying entity will have an assigned entity administrator who is responsible for managing entity level information and assigning roles in the system. The entity administrator is also the e-business point of contact designated in sam.gov. For more information on registering with Just Grants, please refer to the website justicegrants.usdoj.gov. Within 24 hours of Just Grants receiving your application from grants.gov, the user submitting the application in grants.gov and the SAM eBiz POC will receive an email to register for a Just Grants account. The email is from a DOJ's secure user management system, Diamond, and will include instructions on how to create your account. To ensure that you receive these emails and that they are not flagged as spam, we recommend adding diamond-no reply at usdoj.gov to the trusted sender list in your email settings. The eBiz point of contact at the applicant organization serves as the entity administrator and must log in to Just Grants to confirm the entity's profile and add users. The user submitting the application in grants.gov serves as the application submitter. Within minutes of completing your Just Grants account registration, the application submitter and eBiz point of contact will receive an email from Just Grants with a link to the application started in grants.gov registration. Alternately, the applicant submitter can log into Just Grants and locate your pending application, the number, digits, excluding the word grant, of grants.gov tracking number in your task list and on your home landing page. We've provided you an example of what the application tracking number will look like. The entity administrator will need to log into Just Grants to review the authorized representatives associated with the entity. If an authorized representative needs to be invited, the entity administrator will need to invite the individual to receive a Just Grants account. Note that an organization can have more than one authorized representative, as long as those individuals have documented authority to sign an agreement with the federal government. These actions are required before an application is submitted. Within minutes of being invited to be an authorized representative, the individual will receive an email from diamond.no-reply@usdoj.gov with instructions on how to create an account in DOJ's secure user management system. Once the authorized representative receives the email and completes the steps to create an account, the authorized representative will be available in Just Grants. The application submitter will need to complete the application by entering data into the web-based forms, uploading attachments, and accepting the assurances and certifications. The application submitter will also need to select the authorized representative or representatives from your organization. Once all sections are completed, the application submitter will submit the application. Upon successful submission of an application, the application submitter, entity administrator, and authorized representative will receive an email from Just Grants confirming the submission of an application. We strongly encourage applicants to begin the application submission process at least 48 hours before each deadline. Both the grants.gov and Just Grants deadline is applicable. Failure to do so may result in missing a deadline and therefore not be considered for funding. The Department of Justice has made a collection of self-guided training resources, including training and a virtual question and answer session on application submission. Those resources are available at the website displayed on the slide. Recipients of OVW funds must comply with applicable federal civil rights laws, which among other things prohibit recipients from discriminating on the basis of national origin and disability. This includes taking reasonable steps to ensure meaningful access to grantees' programs and activities for individuals with disabilities, deaf individuals, and persons with limited English proficiency. Applicants must include funds or other resources in their budget to support activities to ensure access for individuals with disabilities, deaf and hard of hearing individuals, and persons with limited English proficiency. As a reminder, again, the applications are due on February 1st and must be submitted by 8:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Applicants submitted after 8:59 p.m. Eastern Time on February 1st will not be considered for funding. Please carefully review the How to Apply and the Submission Dates and Times section for applicant actions with required deadlines and OVW's policy on late submissions. This important information starts on page 30 of the solicitation. As a reminder, we encourage submissions of all application components at least 48 hours before each deadline, both grants.gov and Just Grants. This will enable applicants to receive notice of a failed submission and provide an opportunity to correct an error before the applicable deadline. If you have any programmatic questions after reviewing the solicitation in full, such as whether your entity is ineligible to apply or a particular activity is allowable under this program, please contact the Justice for Families program by emailing ovw.jff@usdoj.gov or by calling the number provided on the PowerPoint. If you have financial questions, you may contact OVW's Grants Financial Management Division by emailing ovw.gfmd@usdoj.gov or by calling the phone number listed. For technical assistance with grants.gov, please contact the grants.gov applicant support line by emailing support@grants.gov or by calling the helpline number listed. If you need technical assistance with Just Grants, please contact OVW Just Grants support by emailing ovw.justgrantsupport, all one word, @usdoj.gov or by calling the number we've provided on the PowerPoint. And that brings us to the end of our presentation. And I know we have been busy with the question and answers. Are there any other questions to ask? And I'm going to mute so I can get a drink of water.
Yes, thank you so much, Mo. So as Mo mentioned, I know we've had several questions and answers in the chat, but we do have a few more minutes. So if you have any additional questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat and we will continue to answer them for the duration of our time. And again, as Mo mentioned, if you have any additional questions that come up after we wrap up our time today, please don't hesitate to reach out to the emails that are listed on this slide. And also, I know if a couple of folks have asked if the Q&A will be available. Yes, the recording as well as all of the Q&A and the transcript will be posted on OVW's website. Okay, and I know that Julie is answering some of these questions. So let's see if we can get to a couple of them while Julie is typing. Counseling is not funded, but what about skill building for the domestic abuser? So JFF funds may be allowable for abusive partner intervention programs. And so the exception to counseling as an unallowable activity is for those services for abusive partner intervention programs. And Edna just asked if the PowerPoint will be available. Yes, the PowerPoint and other materials from today's presentation will be posted on OVW's website. When will the materials be posted? And Julie is answering, but it will be soon. Okay. Any other questions from anybody today? Okay, and someone asks, is there a recommended number or limit on the amount of purpose areas we can use as long as we meet the criteria? There is not a recommended number or limit on the amount, on the number of purpose areas, just as long as you do meet the criteria that we discussed earlier in the presentation, such as if you are applying for a comprehensive project, you must include purpose areas 1, 5, and 6, and to also be mindful of the 50% cap on civil legal services when you're considering which purpose areas you are applying for. Okay, it looks like those are all of our questions for the time being. Again, thank you all so much for your time. And as we mentioned before, if you think of any other questions, you can contact the JFF team. Our email is listed there at ovw.jff@usdoj.gov. If you have any financial questions, again, you can contact GFMD at ovw.gfmd@usdoj.gov. Thank you again so much for your time, and we hope you have a good rest of your day.